As I'm sure all of you will know, Football Manager 25 was delayed big time. We were expecting to see the game in November time as normal, and it was meant to be the new era for Football Manager, basically Football Manager 2. It was going to be built on a new engine, on the Unity engine, completely ripped apart from before and built on this new ground up, so that the game could expand and get better year on year. But as we got to the point where we were meant to learn about the game, suddenly they announced a delay all the way until the end of March, and that's basically all we've heard since then. We've had radio silence on the game, so today we're going to break down, one, everything we know up to this point, just recover those facts, but also what we should expect with a new game. Is it going to even come out? Is it going to work? What do I think it's going to look like? We're going to cover all of that today. And the reason we're making this video today is because when they made that initial announcement that the game was being delayed, they did say right at the bottom, we will update you at the first opportunity. The new gameplay reveal will now also move to the end of January. And if you look at your dates currently, we are starting to get there. Whether it's this week towards the end of it, whether it's next week, I'm not so sure. I assume it probably will be next week, but we're going to learn about this new game and what we should expect. Now, obviously, that's where we should start off with. What should we expect, and should we even expect a new game in the first place? Well, I know there's a lot of talk of people saying they should offer it on a discount when it comes out in March, and that they should maybe just skip the game and release again FM26 basically in November of 2025 and just not release this one. I just don't see that happening personally. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I've seen a lot of people mentioning that Sega's fiscal year, basically their financial year, ends in March, and because of that, people think that Sports Interactive have said this March date of the end of March to try and give them as much time as possible so they can release a game and make some money off it in their financial year. Now, I'm no financial expert, I can't say if that information is 100% true, but from everything that I've seen and all the people that know a bit more than me about finances talking about it, it sounds like they are going to have to release something in March, but the question will be, will this be a working game? Will it have features missing out? Is it going to be buggy or the perfect thing that we all wanted? And then from there, will a new game come out in normal November time? Will that get pushed back too? Will it always be March that the game gets released? Well, to be honest, we don't really know, and I think we're all out of the loop. And that kind of goes back to my main issue with Sports Interactive here. The fact that they've delayed a game, I don't have too much hate about. To be honest, if they'd been making this game on a new engine and it wasn't going fantastically well, I'd rather them not release a half-baked game that would cause a load of disappointment and put a lot of people off the series. If you are releasing a game that's costing a fair bit of money, 40 odd quid or whatever, it should be something that is a good experience for the fan base to play. But of course, they've handled this pretty poorly in my eyes, and for anyone that says, I'm not paid by Sports Interactive, I don't know anything about the game more than you guys will know, or anything like that, but I just think my main issue is the whole rollout of how it happened. I think most people will feel the same. If they had told us ages ago that this game won't come out in November, right at the start of the whole cycle, just so you know, it's not going to come out in November, we're taking a bit longer to get it right. I think a lot of people would have been more understanding than them saying, you can pre-order the game now, and then a few days later being like, actually, the game's not ready at all, and it's not just not ready, it's not ready for about another half a year yet, and we're giving you no information about it. That was the main issue, the rollout, how it was communicated to everyone, and hopefully they've looked at that and they'll work on that going forward, because I really don't think it was done in a good manner. So that's the first thing. Football Manager as a game, I still expect will come out at the end of March, whatever capacity it is in at that stage. Obviously it wasn't deemed ready for November, but I expect they will have to release in March to get some money through the door. But let's take a look at what we should expect in a new game. Well, when it was first announced, before the delay, we had this roadmap given to us. Now, that's been taken down, and I don't know whether they will stick to it, but I feel like they've taken it down just to have the announcement in its place of the delay. But hopefully, in the end of January, like they say, when we get some information, we can get back to learning more about these new aspects of the game, and I'm going to quickly cover them here. The first one is women's football. Of course, it's a heavily spoken about topic. Lots of people are blaming this basically for the reason the game's delayed. And for that, I would say it's not really true. Now, I'm not saying you have to play women's football or anything like that, but that isn't the reason the game was delayed. It's because it's being built on this new engine, and that has been the main issue. Now, I'm sure women's football being added to it might have added a slight delay on top of that, but as far as I'm aware, there was a separate team working on women's football. But this is something that Sports Interactive have been talking about for a number of years now. Women's football has been done by separate researchers and whatnot, so that wouldn't have been the main issue for the delay. It is because of this change to the experience that we're having on this new engine. Now, a lot of people's issue was the fact that women's football was being added and some things were being taken away. For example, draft mode was being taken away, which they reported not many people are actually playing at all anyway. But the big one was international management, something that needed changing in game, and they're now taking it out to reintroduce it in the future. But they did say they weren't going to include that in FM25. Now, there is an idea that maybe because they've had the delay, they'll have more time, and maybe international management can be added back, and that might help some people get back on side with the game. But I'm not really expecting it. In fact, I'm expecting the game will be probably a buggy mess, to be honest. I think the fact that it's being delayed this long, we haven't seen anything of it, it doesn't really bode well, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt for now. I really hope they don't release a really not working game, but either way, women's football will be introduced. The interface, we got a few glimpses of some almost beta-like pictures where they did say this isn't the final product, but they're kind of changing the whole way that FM looks, away from that spreadsheet kind of format. It was less like an email box and more like a hub that you work from to try and make the game a little bit more user-friendly, I imagine, for the console players and whatnot, where, you know, with a spreadsheet view, doesn't exactly suit a console game. Now, some FM purists, I'm sure, will have a problem with that, and personally, I think it will be a weird change, but at the end of the day, if they're moving to a new engine, I want it to be a new era, I want them to change things, and I'm sure there'll be mods and whatnot that will let you see it in the old format. But yes, the interface, you can search pictures up online, it looks a little bit different. One thing we never really learned too much about is the changes coming to tactics. I think in a couple of the screenshots we initially saw, there was a few different roles mentioned, but of course those screenshots weren't finalized, so it's hard to really know what tactical changes we're going to see. The same goes for the Your Manager section. We don't really know anything about that or what that's going to include, but the fact that that's the last announcement, I find a little bit strange. Like, what will it be? Some extra customization for your manager? That's one where we really don't have any information. But the other thing that is probably the biggest thing of all is match experience. Now, a lot of people have it in their heads that with this change to a new engine, they are going to see, you know, FIFA graphics, realistic graphics. And I just want to say outright, I mean, I have no information bar what you guys will have, but I would not expect that at all. In my opinion, I think we're going to see Football Manager look pretty much exactly like Football Manager, maybe a little bit more polished in the in-game engine, but it's still going to look like the same thing, especially with the move over to Unity. I imagine they just wanted to get it working, basically, and we're going to see it look better maybe as the years go by. The whole idea of moving it to Unity is it allowed them more room to expand in the future and make the game better, whereas currently, the way that it was coded before, by the sounds of it, they couldn't really change all that much, and a lot of people did have complaints year on year that not enough was changing. So I think this year will be about getting it working in Unity, and then they can build on it. But match experience, I think if anyone's expecting a completely new match engine, I really wouldn't get your hopes up too much. I'd be honest, I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does, I'll be more than happy. I think it would be great if it looks a better game and looks more professional, but I think it's going to look like Football Manager. I don't think we'll see all those changes. They then say that there's much more to be announced. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else there's going to be. With the fact it's been delayed as well, are we going to see all these features? Are some of them going to be taken away? Will they have had more time to add new stuff? I really doubt it, but I really hope when they announce this game at the end of January and start giving us the features, they start to get people on board. We need to see actual concrete evidence of the new game. We want to see what it looks like. We want to see what they're asking people to pre-order. I still find it crazy that we are able to pre-order a game that wasn't ready and we hadn't really saw. So if you are thinking about pre-ordering it, hold off. Wait until you see something about the game. Of course, I'll buy it because I'm a content creator for Football Manager. I kind of have to. But for you guys, definitely hold off until we see something. Now, personally, I think if they want to get people on side, they need to launch with a bang. Whether we learn everything at once and it kind of makes things feel a lot more like, whoa, think of all these things we're getting. Or if they are going to sprinkle feed it in, I think the match engine or whatever they're most proud of needs to go first. Now, that might be women's football. It very well might be. But I just think when you've got a game that's been delayed for this long and we don't know anything about it, to basically tell us that women's football is coming, I don't see how the announcement is going to be much more than that. Is, you know, it's good, but is it really going to change anyone's mind on ordering the game? I'm not so sure. I think they really need to launch with a bang, with something great. Obviously, women's football is a brilliant inclusion. It should be there, and I think it will attract some new players that wouldn't have played the game before, but I'm not necessarily sure if that's the thing out the door that they want to go. We've got a new game, and it's got women's football. I think they need to say, this is what the new game looks like. This is what you're getting. If you pre-order it, this is what you'll see on the interfaces. This is what you'll see in the match engine. We've added these tactical tweaks. It is working. It is looking good. Here's a video of how the game looks. That is the kind of thing that I want to see. I think anything else, and it's still just going to add to this whole drama of, is this game working? Is it a real game? Are we ordering something that exists? I think they need to show off the game in whatever state it's at. just to let us know where it is. And I'm crossing my fingers it's going to be in a good state. But if there's any news about the game, which it sounds like there will be, I hope they don't go against their word. When we start getting some news in January, trust us, we'll be all over it here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed. Let me know what you want to see with FM25 at this stage. Do you even want to see it? Do you want to wait for a new game? What kind of things would actually convince you to buy it? Or are you even that bothered? Do you actually not mind that they're delaying it? Like I say, I'd rather them release a proper game that is working, but it sounds like they're going to have to release something now. But what does it say about the planning of this whole thing if they delay it all the way until March and it doesn't even work then? I don't know. I'm really hoping, I'm crossing my fingers. Obviously, as a fan of Football Manager, I want it to do well. So let's see what we see at the end of Jan. We'll be making all the videos about it here. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you hopefully with some news soon.